Well, hello there. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Rebecca. This is Beck Stitches Everything, in case you just randomly clicked on this YouTube video and have no idea where you are. This is my YouTube channel where I talk about crafty stuff, mostly my cross-stitch hobby, sometimes a few other things. And this is Flosstube number 8, I think. I'm pretty sure. It's been a while. I've missed you all. I've missed interacting with you. I miss watching Flosstube. It's been about 6 weeks since I filmed last, and I did not intend to be away that long. The second half of September and then the first half of October were really crazy busy at work, super stressful. It's probably my worst October 15th deadline of my career. If you don't know, I'm an accountant. I do taxes for a living, so that's the extended deadlines for businesses, trusts, individuals all fall in that range. And then that's it. There's no extensions after that. So we have to get everything done or it's late. So work was crazy. And then my daughter was up for a couple days, which was great. And then the second half of October, we were gone, just out of the country gone. I had hoped to film, like squeeze in filming before we left, but I just ran out of time, so that didn't happen. And I'll give a little more like life update toward the end of the video. I know I don't want to drag out the intro too long, and I know some people might not be interested in that, so I'll save that to the end. So today for you, I have Halloween stuff, and it's the day I'm filming this on November 3rd, so Halloween is done. I'm sure most people have moved past Halloween. You're done with like your candy hangover, and have moved on to maybe Thanksgiving stitching, Christmas stitching, nor November. So I'm late on this, but everything I've worked on recently has been Halloween. So that's what I have to update you on. I wanted like one last hurrah with the Halloween tree before it goes away. So hopefully I can kind of like rewind time a little bit and like get you back in the Halloween spirit briefly. I have cross stitch today, some knitting to talk about, which I'll do toward the end. I have my lovely assistant here. And I have a book to talk about. I've actually finally broken out of this months-long reading slump that I was in, and I'll put that at the end too. So why don't we just jump into the stitching. Had a little unplanned intermission. I had to take a phone call. So I don't remember where I was. We're gonna try to splice this together. Let's see. I think we're just gonna jump right into the stitching. But I just want to point out a couple of things on my little Halloween tree. So I've got I think I showed these in one of my earlier videos. I finished them before I started Flosstube. Got the little Prairie Schooler ornaments, one Mill Hill down here, and then the rest are just some glass Halloween ornaments. Yeah. I'm really happy with the way that turned out. I'm sad to put it away, but we'll get Christmas out soon. I haven't actually had a Christmas tree in a few years. We had like a bunch of moves over a few years and just, anyway, so it'll be nice to have like actual holiday celebration this year. Okay, so anyway, let's do cross stitch. First thing I'm gonna update on is my progress on Halloween at Hawk Run Hollow. So here's the cover photo of like the completed sampler. And I have now finished block 2. Nothing's ironed as usual here. So I've got 2 blocks done now. Sorry if the lighting is a little weird. I'm using a ring light. I'm in our living room today, and I hope it's not echoey because the ceiling's a lot higher in this room. But it's now officially fall in the Pacific Northwest, and we had daylight savings time last night, so it's like 3:45. It's probably gonna be dark here in the next 45 minutes. Anyway, okay, so here is my progress. I've got 2 blocks done out of a total of, was that 11? I guess the middle one's really big though. I am stitching this on 40 count linen from XJU Designs. The color is called Grandma's Slip. And I am stitching it 1/2 with the silk pack, the Vicky Clayton silk pack conversion. I am very happy with it. This one tombstone right here, there are the letters RIP on it. It's really low contrast between the background color and the lettering. So it doesn't really show, but looking at the cover photo, it's kind of the same when they originally charted. So I'm just gonna leave it. I thought about maybe switching out a color so it showed up a little more, but I don't think I'm gonna do that. And here I'm still keeping my little silk spools on their bobbins in this little box. It's starting to get a little messy. Got some extra strands floating around in there, so at some point I may have to switch out and put these on floss jobs, but I'm kind of worried about the flosses, the silks getting like fluffed up if I do that. I don't know. Yeah, so that's that. I think I'll keep this one. I think I'll set it up for block 3 and just kind of keep it like in the Q-snap ready to go and maybe put a little more work on it. I do like to have at least one sort of Halloween thing going year round. I would like this to be a focus project. These blocks, I mean, I could even, like these blocks are deceiving. They're dense. On this one I kept for days. I was like, oh, I'm almost done, I'm almost done. And then I'm like, nope, I've got a long way to go. Yeah, they're, you know, not full coverage, but parts of it are close to. So there's that one. Then up next, I don't think I've ever showed any of this next one on here. I think I might have mentioned it briefly in my last video. So these are actually going to be, I guess, a start and finish, not fully finished yet, because they haven't been shared before. So I'm working on some of this Spooky Autumn Smalls by the Blue Flower. And I have started and finished 3 of these little smalls. Here they are. So I have them all on the same piece of linen. This is the called for, and it is, let me look, it is 40 count pistachio from Fiber on a Whim. I've got a big piece. So I have plenty of space to do all of them, but I don't think I'm going to stitch anymore until probably next fall. I'm going to fully finish these as little pillows, just like the cover photo. I already have the velveteen backing and the little chenille trim from Lady Dot Creates. It's just going to be a matter of me getting motivated to get my sewing machine out and get it set up and get these stitched. I do want to do that. I think my sewing machine probably needs a tune-up, so I have a bunch of sewing and some quilting projects that I'd like to work on, so hopefully I will get to that at some point. These are, I'm using all the called for flosses for these, so it's a combination of DMC, some Classic Colorworks, Weeks Dye Works, and then there's one Color and Cotton. That's my first time using Color and Cotton floss. I like it. So yeah, it's kind of, you know, it's small. It's actually not that many flosses, and I think you get really good. It looks a lot more variation when it's actually stitched. Okay. And then the next piece, I just have a small start on. I started the Halloween sampler. Ooh, that's a bad glare. By, I think it's Crochet A Go-Go. I'm not sure I'm saying that right. This one kind of took Instagram by storm. Tons of people were starting this. Let me take this out of the page protector. I've also started the Halloween sampler by Teresa Kogut. It's from a booklet that came out a few years back. And they kind of have, I mean, they're different, but they have kind of similar vibes. So I don't know if maybe that's weird to be stitching them both, but I like them both. So here is my start, my kind of small progress on this one. Did an upper left start. Not too much to show on this. I am stitching this on another piece of linen from XJU Designs. It's a 36 count and the color is Gray Sand. It's a little bit cooler than I think the cover or the model stitches maybe on like Vintage Country Mocha, so that's more of a tan. This is a little more gray. I'm happy with it. And I am using, for my first time ever, the floss conversion from Pirate and Robin flosses. I love Robin's flosses, and she just seems like a really cool person too. She dyes yarn as well, and I have bought a couple skeins of sock yarn from her that I'm looking forward to trying out. Really beautiful colors. And I think she's in Eugene, Oregon, so she's kind of local to me. Local-ish. Aren't they pretty? So this one will get tucked away probably. I don't know, maybe it'll come back out at some point, but it might not get too much work until maybe next fall season. And then next we have my progress on Olga's Autumn Stocking from Plum Street Samplers. This one, here's my progress on this. So I've got a decent start. You can see where my nerd tube was. Pretty decent start on this. I took this with me on our trip. This was like my travel stitch. I didn't get a ton of work done on it. I always get that panicky thing when I travel where I'm like, I want to bring like, you know, 5 books and 10 craft projects because I don't know what I'm going to feel like working on. And then I never end up having much time to do any of like read or work on projects. But I brought this. I did take a couple Mill Hill kits for on the plane too, and I put a few stitches in to one. The flight attendant was hilarious. He's like, "Are you gonna crochet?" And I'm like, "No, it's not crochet." This again, surprise, surprise, is on a fabric from XJU Designs. It's a 36 count, and the color is Baby Sheep. And I am doing this also in all the called for flosses. So it is a combination of, we've got Gentle Arts. Yeah. Oh yeah, Gentle Arts and Weeks. I don't think there's any classic colorworks in here. Is that true? Yeah, Gentle Arts and Weeks Dye Works. Flosses. This one will stay out, I think, in November because it's not like solely Halloween themed. There's that. And that is all the cross stitch I worked on for October. I'll do plans now before we talk about knitting in case people don't want to stick around for that. We'll keep it kind of short and sweet. So for November, I do want to do Nora November, probably my own like modified version of it. I have a few Nora Corbett patterns and Mirabilias that I'd like to put a little bit of work into, but I can't see myself solely working on that for the whole month. I get way too burned out. I'm gonna work on some Christmas stitching, probably get a little progress on that. I do have 2 things that I want to start this month that I have had pitted up and ready to go for a while. This might be too shiny. So I want to start the Autumn is as Joyful sampler. Ooh, sorry about the glare. From Leela's Studio. Samantha, the Hugo Stitcher, started a stitch along for this one. I think she started it on the first day of autumn, which would have like September 21st or 22nd this year. I wanted to start it then and I just never got to it. So I would like to work on this in November and get a start on that one. And another one that I've had hanging around for a little bit is the Autumn Cloche pattern by Hello from Liz Matthews. I know Megan, the Seattle Stitcher, has been working on this one recently. I think Cam, the Stitcher, has been working on hers. So yeah, I'd like to get a start on that one. I might actually start this one tonight. We'll see. So that's kind of it for cross stitch plans. looking a little further into the future, I am going to StitchCon this year. I'm officially in. I'm in weekend A. So let me know in the comments if you're gonna go, and if you do go and see me there, please say hi. I'm kind of introverted, so I'm very unlikely to walk up to somebody and just introduce myself, but please come say hi if you see me there and would like to, you know, meet up and talk. I'd love to meet some more of you in person. So I think that's it for cross stitch. Kind of short and sweet. I'm gonna move on to knitting, talk about a book, and then I'll do a little mini kind of life update at the end. So if you were only for the stitching, you won't miss any more cross stitch if you leave now. Yeah, so I'll move on to knitting. So you can see my lovely assistant behind me here. I have started, I think you can see it pretty well. I don't know if I need to move this up. I might move it up in a second. I have started working on, it's called, I'll pull up a pattern for you, the Arachne sweater by Andy Satterland. Get the ring light glare. So this is a circular yoke sweater. You just cast on and then do the yoke, and then you pick up the neck band stitches at the end. So I am almost all the way through the yoke. I think I have one more color repeat to do. And I am knitting this in Pearl Soho's Good Wool, which is a sport weight, 100% wool, not superwash. I haven't done color work knitting in a really, really long time, and I never really did much of it, even when I knitted more previously. So I'm kind of relearning that. It's going pretty well. I think this was a good one to start with. The pattern's really even, kind of repetitive, and I'm happy with it. Definitely, I have a little bit of work to do on my tension, like catching floats and things like that. I think anything that's uneven is gonna probably come out pretty well when I go to block it. So I might try to get through the yoke of this one at least. I'm done with the color work before I like put this away. And then obviously I did not get it finished by Halloween. Maybe by next Halloween it'll be done and ready to wear. But I'm really happy with that. It's been really fun to work on and, you know, kind of work on a new skill. I'm gonna pause and maybe try to move this up a little bit so you can see it a little bit better. Hold on. Okay. I ended up just taking it off of my dress form. So it's looking, I'm losing light really quickly here. It looks black, I think, in this lighting, but it's actually the main color is more of like a dark navy blue. And then we've got like that kind of acid green. And I like it. I'll show you my floats. We call this like float porn. Yeah, I'm having fun with that one. And I like this yarn. It's Pearl Soho Goodwill, as I said. It is a non-superwash, which I think is really helpful, especially when, I think it's probably helpful in color work always, and especially when you're not as experienced in it, because it's kind of like sticky, I guess. Superwash has that like smoother sheen, and the yarn kind of will like slide around a little more. So with a non-superwash, you're gonna get that kind of more grabby kind of texture. I think it holds your stitches in place better and makes the color work a little bit more defined. I think I did mess up at some point early on. I kind of misread the pattern chart. I think I was supposed to do something a little different. It doesn't matter. No one's ever gonna know. I'm not sure if this pattern is actually still for sale. It's one that I've had for a while. So apologies if you wanted to get it and can no longer get it. But anyway, oh, there's that. I've got my little pumpkin stitch marker. I think it'll be cute when it's done. So maybe this will be my, if we're not gone next year during trick or treat, maybe it'll be my Halloween sweater. Although we get no trick or treaters at our house. We've been in this house for 2 Halloweens now, and we have not had a single trick or treater ever. We're on, our street only has like 7 houses on it, and we're at the top of a hill. It's like a 1/4 mile hill to get up here, so it's dark. I wouldn't want to trick or treat up here. It's a hike. No trick or treaters. Okay, so I guess that's it for crafty stuff. My tea's getting cold. Oh, I wanted to mention this tea too. It's Hot Cinnamon Sunset by Harney and Son. This is like my favorite tea ever. It's just a black tea with like cinnamon and spice. It smells kind of like Red Hots when you first open the container, but it does not taste like that. But it's delicious. It's one of like my favorite fall tea. Okay, so that's it for crafty stuff. I'm gonna talk about one book. I have finally broken out of a many months long reading slump. I've always been a big reader, and I don't know what my problem's been lately. I had probably started like 10 or 12 books in the last few months, and just nothing was grabbing me. I'd set kind of an aggressive Goodreads goal for myself for the year of 104 books, which I knew was probably unattainable. And I'm like, I'm not gonna come anywhere near that. I think I'm at like 26 right now. So hopefully next year will be better. But with traveling and finally getting out of this slump, I have actually read, I think, like 4 or 5 books in the last couple of weeks. So I'll see if I can keep up that pace and catch up a little bit on my goal. But one of the books that I wanted to talk about, in the spirit of Halloween, is a horror novel. I love horror books. I don't like, not so much slasher books. Like, I don't just like gore in books or movies just for gore's sake. I'm more of like a psychological horror, thriller. Those kinds of books are more my speed. So this one, I can't remember where I heard about this book. It is a debut book for this author, and I think there's already a Netflix adaptation planned. But it's called We Used to Live Here by Marcus Kluwer. I think that's how you say his name. This book, I highly recommend. This was a total 5-star read for me. So the premise of the book is it's set in Oregon, in the Pacific Northwest, in a remote area town near Mount St. Helens. There's a couple, they buy an old house. You know, it's got some property, it's pretty secluded, and they're in the business of flipping houses. So they buy this old Victorian, think, style home and move into it, and they're gonna renovate it and then sell it. So one of the first nights that they're there, it's in the evening. Main character Eve is home alone. She's unpacking and she hears a knock at her door, and it's a family, mom, dad, 3 kids. And the dad says, "Hey, I'm really sorry to bother you. I used to live here, and we're just passing through, and I wanted to show my kids the house that I grew up in. Would that be okay if we just like looked around?" And Eve's first reaction internally is, hell no. Like, I wouldn't even answer my door. Like, I don't answer phone calls if I don't recognize the number. I don't answer my door if I did not know my door. So that wouldn't even gotten to that point with me. But so she wants to say no, but she's one of those people that has a hard time saying no. And she's like, well, I don't know. We're still unpacking. Let me call she just doesn't want to be the one to say no. Let me call my girlfriend and see what she says. And so she steps in the other room and goes to call Charlie, and she just gets voicemail, but she pretends that Charlie has picked up, and then comes back and says, Charlie says, no, not a good time. Sorry. And at this point, I think she looks past them and sees there's no car in the driveway. And she asks him, like, where's your vehicle? And the dad's like, oh, we're moving. It's like a cross-country move. We left the moving van down on the main road and we just walked up. And it's a long walk from the main road up to their house. So that feels kind of off to her. But he's like, totally understand. I get it. Sorry to bother you. And they go to leave, but the little girl of the family is looking really like forlorn. And so Eve caves in. She's a people pleaser. She's like, you know what? It's fine. Come on in. 15 minutes, you can look around, and that's it. And they're like, okay, great. And then that sets off this chain of events. The little girl ends up hiding in the house. They can't find her. All these things happen. She cannot get these people out of her house. And that alone right there is like your horror story to me. Like house guests just will not leave. But it just gets weirder and weirder. And it's one of those books where like nothing overtly horrifying or scary happens, at least initially. It's just like that creeping feeling like something's off. These people won't leave. You know, they're very friendly about it, but it just feels wrong the whole time. And you get kind of a fractured timeline where people seem to be changing stories. It's like that trapped, kind of oppressive feeling like she can't get out of here. And that whole thing where you're like, you don't know if these people are really creepy. Is this all in her head? You know, you as the reader start to feel like you're kind of losing your mind. So it's so good. I highly recommend it. I will say this, if you do not like, if you're the kind of reader that really needs like your endings tied up in a neat little bow, you won't like this book at all. I happen to like open endings when they are done well, and I think that he really nailed it in this book. I've heard there might be a sequel to it, which I don't think I want to read because I think it's perfect the way it ended. I was like that with The Handmaid's Tale too, which was one of my favorite books of all time. I love the way that book ended, completely open ending. Season 1 of the show followed the book, ended that way, and I think that's where it needed to be left. My husband kept watching the show, like later seasons of it, and I just refused because I just thought it ruined it. So there's my book recommendation. Hopefully I'll get some more reading in. I've read a couple other really good things too on our trip. I don't know, I might work some more book stuff in there. If it gets to be too much, maybe I'll start a whole separate booktube channel. We'll see. So, life stuff. As I said, work was crazy. My daughter came up on October 15th that evening with her boyfriend. They stayed for a couple days with us. That was great. So she just turned 21 a couple days before that. So we kind of did like a little, you know, just got to see her for like a belated birthday thing. They came up, we went, she and I and her boyfriend went into Seattle the first full day they were here, and we just like went to Pike's Lake Market and wandered around and had dinner in the city. And then she'd been wanting me to teach her how to crochet for a while, so we worked on that night, which was awesome. It was weird to teach someone how to crochet. I've been doing that kind of stuff for so long, it just is like muscle memory at this point, so to slow down and try to explain step by step what I was doing was kind of was a little bit of a challenge for me, but she picked it up really fast. They took Amtrak up here from Portland, so she like finished up her first little like dish towel project on the way back, and then she was watching YouTube videos, and she's just like taken off with that already. So I love that she's into that. That was great. And then on the, I think it was on the 19th, we left, drove down to Portland, got the dogs dropped off. We've been using the same boarding place ever since I've used that same place for years in Portland, and since we moved to Seattle, I haven't like found someplace new. And honestly, it works pretty well for us to just take them down there. It's like a 2.5 hour drive if traffic is not an issue. Got them dropped off. We spent the night with my brother-in-law and sister-in-law who live in Vancouver, Washington. And then they took us to the airport the next day, and then kept my car at their house so we didn't have to park at the airport. It's always fun seeing them. They are foodies. It's like, you know, the fun part of the family. Wine drinkers. Every time we go, we're like, we're gonna take it easy and not have too much wine before we travel. And then of course it's like way too much wine. So we woke up the next morning and not feeling so great. Not really looking forward to getting on a long flight. And like ready to go, got in the car, it's like 7:30. And then Brent, my husband, I'm not sure if I ever said his name on here, just happened to check his phone right before we leave their driveway, and Delta had called and they had proactively rebooked us on a later flight, and it would have cut out one of our connections too. So that was great. Got to go back inside and take like a morning nap and get a little more rest before we took off. So we did a trip to Europe. We did a Danube River cruise, which was great. Started in Budapest, Hungary, and we saw went to Slovakia, Austria, Germany. That's it. We did 1-day excursion into the Czech Republic too. So it was wonderful. It's like a little bit of a blur when you're in a different town every day, but I had never done any kind of cruise before, and I would highly recommend if you're considering it one of these river cruises, because other times when we've traveled in Europe and you're changing towns every day, it's such the worst part of it, in my opinion, is like the repacking your suitcase every day or every other day and moving hotels. That's exhausting to me. So this was nice because it was just like your hotel just went with you. The room was bigger than I thought. The ship was really nice. The food was really good. They kept feeding us, and it was like a wine lovers tour, sort of like wine tastings every day. And by the end, I was kind of actually tapped out on that. I think it was the last day of our cruise. I'm like, I cannot drink dessert wine at 10 o'clock in the morning with chocolate. I just can't. It's too much. I'm over it. So it was a great trip. And then we flew home. We took the train in Munich and spent 1 day there, and then flew out of Munich. So the flights back were Munich to Atlanta, which is 9 or 10 hours, and then Atlanta back to Portland, which is another 5+ hours. That last leg felt really, really punishing. I was very over it at that point. So got back to Portland, spent the night again with my brother-in-law and sister-in-law in Vancouver. And then on Halloween, my oldest son got married. They had a small, simple wedding, which was perfect. They did it at Edgefield in Portland, or it's like kind of the gorge, like Troutdale, Oregon, but near Portland. And Edgefield is a McMenamins property. So if you're not from the Pacific Northwest, McMenamins, they have hotels in like Oregon and Washington. I think that's it. But the McMenamins brothers will they find like old buildings. So Edgefield was, I think it was like a mental institution in the early 1900s or mid like 1950s. Sometimes they do old schools. There's one in Tacoma, which used to be an Elks Lodge, and they just take these kind of rundown buildings that are not being used anymore and turn them into hotels. And they're cool. They're like funky decor. And they always have restaurants and bars in them. Like some of them they'll take, like the ones that are schools, sometimes they'll have like a little hidden bar that used to be like the janitor's closet. And so it's fun. And I think that Edgefield is rumored to be haunted too. So perfect setting for Halloween wedding. She wore a black dress. Everyone came in costume. It was good. It was, they've been together for like 7 or 8 years, I think, at this point. So yeah, that was fun. And then got back to Seattle. I think we were home on the 1st, the next day. So my sleep has been off. It's like jet lag, travel weariness, and then we had daylight savings time. So trying to get back on a normal sleep schedule, just like a normal schedule in general. It's probably gonna take me a while. But anyway, I think that's it. It's kind of a little scattered. I have to like splice some of this together. Like I said, I've missed you all, and I hope to be back in another maybe 2 to 3 weeks with another update, and I will see you then. Bye.